Good day, and today I want to enter into a discussion on what Einstein termed the Fourth World War. That he knows not what the Third World War will be fought with. Now, this is the one who, you know Einstein equals mc squared. And he said, I don't know what the Third World War would be fought with, and he meant that there would be many sophisticated weapons. But he said, I know this, that the Fourth World War will be fought with sticks and stones, meaning such a devastation he expected if and when the Fourth World War comes on. So these days I have seen some medical academics involved in a discussion about 4 apocalyptic horses. We never thought days will come when medical academics talk about apocalyptic horses. So I have titled this, Will Science Be Overcome by Apocalyptic Horses? So the first one of this the present situation with our problem, the disease that's going all around the world, is that they are describing not only a Delta variant, a Kappa Lambda variant. Now what happens is, every time the genome changes, the mRNA changes, the spike protein with which the virus attaches to lung epithelium can change. So it may spread faster, and then it may provoke more severe reactions. That's why everybody fears this terrible change, the mutational change. But they have now, yesterday there's a research out, they are saying that it is, though the spike protein helps the virus to get into the cell through the ACE2 receptor, it's the nucleocapsid protein, the N protein, that causes the cytokine reaction and the immune damage. So what does this all mean? If there are early molecules that can prevent the attachment, if there are molecules, pharmacological molecules that can prevent the attachment of the S protein to the ACE2 receptor or the nucleocapsid N protein at the points of function, then we can prevent the lung getting involved. The whole purpose of early treatment is stop the lung getting involved, that the virus will not get into the lung and cause the immunological reaction, which is followed by the thrombotic. Why little thrombi, little blood clots start forming? You know this by now. Everybody fears that lung will get involved and oxygen will go down. So what I advise always is that every day, once you are COVID positive, every day, because home management is so important, every day what you should do is that you should do a breather test. How you do it is by taking a deep breath, hold it there, and try to see whether you can count up to 10. Then if you find that you can't count up to 10, then you know that it's not good for you. You need to immediately consult medical opinion. Give me a minute, I have to get this going. So that it's a fearsome thing is the lung involvement. So what we all hope would happen is that we will be able to prevent the lung involvement by using early molecules that act early on the connections of the spike protein to the ACE2 receptor, and also, if possible, we like to prevent other attachments of the nucleocapsid protein. There's another protein called galactin protein, and so on. So do your breathing test carefully 3 times a day. Take your breath and hold it and count 1, 2, 3, 4. If you can count to 10, you're okay. Of course, you can buy oximeter and keep a tab on the oxygen saturation. Nobody's oxygen saturation is 100%. Danger is if your oxygen saturation begins to drop below 95, you have to report to a hospital. The on-call is 139 knot. It works reasonably all right. They try to locate a bed for you. where you can be treated with oxygen. So don't despair, don't panic. Try to take the early molecules that can prevent the lung issue. Now there are some researchers done yesterday. There was a research done by Sydney Technical University, and they are saying Nigel sativa, that is our kaluduru, has an effect. So these days people have tried different things, even in our government hospitals you get kottamali, which is a good thing, but we need to get more. So if you need to know about COVID management, you need to get your doctor to send me a WhatsApp number 076 313 4800. Please don't call on it, nobody will answer it. Just send a WhatsApp number, preferably your doctor sending it. If you send it, even I will try to help you in some way. So if you are from abroad, it's +94 76 313 4800. So the whole so then there was in Netherlands a study was done about Ceylon cinnamon aldehyde, using cinnamon tea morning and evening to reduce the lung effect, so that when you need to get dexamethasone, which is later in the development of the disease, because of lung involvement, the dexamethasone dose needed can be reduced by using Ceylon cinnamon aldehyde. These are technical studies that have been done. Then they have found, this was reported about three days ago, that black pepper and ginger have things called microrhizomes, microRNA, that interacts with our cell system and prevents the viral mRNA trying to build up their own protein structure. This virus is diabolical. One, it was made in a lab, and now we know that for fact. If you want any more clips, you can ask me. I also have a app called Golden Nuggets. You can download it for free from for Android or from Apple Store. It's free. Golden Nuggets. I'm Dr. Lalith Mendis. I speak quite a bit on pharmacology because my last substantive post was as head of Department of Pharmacology in a state medical faculty. A little more about management. So the breathing test is important. Now remember that symptoms may develop quite early, and remember that any air-conditioned space is at risk if the bubble is unknown. So double mask and face shield. Don't stand in queues as much as possible. All that must be routine management for your own safety. Vitamin D studies proved, and one of our brilliant Sri Lankan professors in Rutgers University, USA, was involved in the study. Vitamin D in a mega dose, that is 5,000 international units per kilogram. That works for about 300,000. But since it's a big dose, you can't take it on your own. You have to clarify with your doctor. What you can do is 60,000 international units per month, while you take your daily 2,000 vitamin D and zinc. The two work together. It provides 88% immunity. There are some other molecules that can give early immunity also. Then besides the breather test, what you need to know is, if you lie prone on your tummy, lie prone is on your tummy, and raise up your head a little with two pillows, lying prone, you give your lungs the best chance for oxygenation. The blood supply improves to the top part of the lung when you do that. The top part of the lung is less involved in the COVID process. So when you lie prone on your tummy and raise your head a little with two pillows and start breathing, your oxygen absorption is improved. The problem is that when the lung gets involved, the epithelium or the tissue between the lung alveoli and the capillary begins to thicken up, so that oxygen finds it difficult to get in, carbon dioxide finds it difficult to get out. So that's why the oxygen issue comes. There are early molecules that can be given early to prevent to prevent the lung involvement. The lung involvement is firstly, the spike protein goes and attaches to the ACE2 receptors and sets off an immune reaction. So in the immune reaction, there is a in our body, immune defenses have a inflammatory stage, attack stage, and it must come down. When you are low in vitamin D, what happens is that the specific pro-resolver molecules that helps to bring down the immune attack, it's your own body's immune reaction, but it has to be resolved. That's why they are called specific pro-resolver molecules. They have fancy names, enhancins, relaxins and names like that. But they have, when you have low on vitamin D, those molecules are not enough. That is why daily vitamin D and zinc is very, very important, very useful. So other thing is, if you get a sudden headache, diarrhea, they are all symptoms that the situation may be getting worse. And on the 8th day, situation can get worse, and there's an old molecule called promethazine that was given for children's syrup. That helps, if you take it early, it helps to reduce the lung reaction. So these are some things you can do. As I said, if you want a full description, I can send one. There is a description circulating from a well-known professor in the country who's addressing the issue. That can also be sent. But if you get breathing difficulty at any point, you must contact the system 1390 and follow their advice. That system is still available. So don't panic. What else should I say about the present situation? I told you, as the virus mutates, the structure of the spike protein can change, and then you need to know that it may have different ways of spreading. There's a diabolical thing that this virus spreads from cell to cell inside our tissue linings. Normal viruses multiply in a cell. It has to come out in order to get to the other cell. When the virus comes out, newly formed new virus spat out, the new fellows come out, the body mechanism of antibodies and body natural killer cells are able to attack the virus. But this virus spreads from cell to cell without facing our antibody system. This is the diabolical thing about this virus. That's why it spreads so fast from cell to cell. It has a particular mechanism that facilitates it going from cell to cell. Then Japan has described mu and nu. They are still packaging how the spike protein has it changed. As I told you, there's another nucleocapsid protein that also causes some pathological effects, they say. So that's about a little summary of what's going on. Now I began on this, that some medical academics are discussing this four apocalyptic horses. I was quite surprised to see these learned men of science. Now the four apocalyptic horses described, why are they called apocalyptic? They're terrible. Their effect is terrible. Actual word apocalypsis is a Greek word. It means unveiling, what is not known kind of thing. So they were called apocalyptic horses because no one understood what they were supposed to do or what are they doing, though it was described. So the first horse was a white color, follow this carefully, and the rider of that horse had a bow without visible arrows, but he's shooting. So a white horse, which means he looks a nice fellow, he looks a peaceable fellow, he looks a wise fellow. He comes with seemingly wisdom, and then he begins to shoot from his bow what people don't see, but people believe. So our belief systems were being changed. For instance, people believe that your sex is changeable. Sex is not in the chromosomes. Now, Professor Paul McHughes has done tremendous studies. John Hopkins professor, John Hopkins produced some brilliant professors, and he categorically says that gay is not in the genes, gay is choice. So there are thoughts that are put into the minds of young people or any other people, then that marriage is changeable, sex is anyhow, somehow, anytime. There's no age for it. I've explained this before. When girls before the age of 18 get into precocious sex, premature sex, they don't have the squamous cell epithelium developed over their cervix. This is the let me explain to you. This is the womb, this is the cervix, and then is the vagina. Around the cervix there's a squamous cell epithelium that develops at the age of 18. If they get into sexual activity before the age of 18, what happens is that that squamous cell epithelium is attacked by human papilloma virus. So one would think HPV, and that predisposed to cervical cancer later. Similarly, boys, when they get into premature sex young, later on, very young, they get prostatic cancer. So there is some moral arbitrator who said what should be done when. So we understand that sexual union is only in marriage, not before, not outside, lifelong with one partner. You're safe. No HIV, no HPV. So what should be the advice given to young girls when the HPV virus can get into them by precocious sexual activity because their squamous cell epithelium over the cervix is not developed? What must we tell them? We must tell them, please don't do this for your future sake. Yes. But what was done was a vaccine was made for HPV. So what will happen with that? What will happen is that they will continue to do what is injurious to them and end up with cervical cancer. So this is another one. This tremendous, well-planned, well-designed study was done in Sri Lanka. That's why Sri Lankan academic medicine is really good. People don't value the free medicine and the free education we have. All the time grumbling and complaining. You must go to US and end up without a health insurance to know what hell it is like. So in Sri Lanka, anybody can be wheeled into a government hospital after accident, for emergency surgery, it would be done. Not so in the US. And so all I'm saying is be grateful for what we already have in our nation. So this white horse has a bow and he shoots invisible arrows. So these days I find the whole scientific consensus is being changed by the farmer, the market for profit. I wrote a little post today. You can see it sometime later on my timeline, how science has died and undertaker is getting ready to bury the science based on evidence, because now science goes on political views. How many of the percentage of children would like to get it? So it's like that. It's a kind of woke science. It's not evidence-based science. And then scientific interviews are by media interviews. No more is it coming on a peer-reviewed journal. It's being discussed over the media, how people feel, how the pharma company feels about it. So there's a lot of, so I feel this is all about the invisible arrows that are fed into the minds of men for people to agree to things they normally in a sensible mind would not. Second horse is red, and its rider has a broad sword. So it's a bloody thing, meaning death. Sword means death. It's not only terrorism, it's not only communism. Lots are dying because of this man-made virus, yes. It's quite proved now. 18 well-known scientists wrote on it together. If you want to have a look, I can send that clip to you or the link to you. Lancet for long tried to keep it out. And a well-known professor of psychiatry in Belgium has taken up the issue that the article he was sent for peer reviewing, he sent it and sent it back, and it was not published in Lancet, because Lancet is doing a kind of political science. So this is why you have to, if you are science trained, you can know whether it is right or not. For instance, the newest Oxford trial is Principle, Principle. Trying to, and they have put a certain drug into it to see whether it works or not. But what they are doing is they are taking in patients over 14 days since the first symptom, 14 days. Now it is well known, after the 4th day, new research says 2 days before symptoms you are infectious, 4 days after symptoms, you are infectious. New research says you are not infectious after that. And after the 4th day with symptoms, virus begins to clear on its own. So when you include patients over 14 days and gives an effective drug and keeps a control group without the drug, what happens is when you put in patients after the 6th day, since the 4th day of infection, if you put in patients, they will not respond to this particular molecule. So the result will come saying the molecule was proved to be not effective. This has been done previously to other molecules. Yes, I'm using the word molecules to avoid censorship, because if I use the name of certain drugs, it gets cancelled. So that's how the system works. But now I must get on to what I began to do. The first horse was white, second horse was red, and there was murder, mayhem, and bloodshed with it. So communism spread all over the world with a lot of revolutions, And then the third horse is peculiar. He's black. And his rider, what do you think? The black horse rider has a pair of scales. And what is he doing? The black horse is doing consumerism and market expansion and a kind of economics that only favor those who already have. A kind of Keynesian economics now on since 1970. You produced a massive consumerism market. The main aim of the market used to be food, shelter, health. That was and of course clothes. Those are the 4 main things of the market. But now it's all consumerism. Market is driven like that for production and consumerism. The common man's needs are not met. So the black horse helps the world's richest to get money into their hands. The resources of the whole world, sovereign nations have now to spend endlessly to keep nations without dying because of the pandemic. During the last year, 12 new billionaires have popped up, dollar billionaires, and the 4 well-known ones have increased their income by more than 3 times. So you can see how do some people get rich like that? By impoverishing nations. So this is the black horse phenomenon. Is this the unjust scales? So the black horse rider is depicted as having unjust scales. The last rider is quite peculiar. He has nothing in his hands, but the horse, the last rider, fourth fellow, his color in Greek is called chloros. Chloros is the light greenish yellow color that you get when grass is dying. Have you seen grass kept, a brick kept over grass, and when the brick is removed, what happens to the grass? Grass gets a deathly pallor. So this pale horse is having the color of dying grass, and it is followed by famine, plagues, death, and beastly rulers. That's what it says. So it's a time like that. Economics, politics, science, and many things and family life are getting cooked up so that few global oligarchs may have rule over everybody. That's the season we are in, and how do we face up to this? So I want to tell a little more about Einstein's Fourth World War, where we are going. 1. When abortions exceed live births, it looks as if the purpose for which Good Shepherd designed the world, life, is lost. 2. Everything in the world's economic order was designed to keep the family ticking and a next generation coming and carrying on with the world, so that another generation and another generation will come on. So with plagues and ecological disasters, earthquakes increasing, the disastrous fires in California, floods in other areas, you can see El Nino, the brother, and La Nina, the sister, both are at work together doing disastrous things. People are saying, what is the meaning of this? So everything was designed that the family may produce the next generation, and that generation will live so that the next generation can thrive. Now what's happening? Next generation is threatened by family disrupted. People don't marry. People don't want to have children. People deny sexuality. Anything is called marriage. Babies are killed. And the whole family structure on which the Good Shepherd designed world's sustenance and world's prosperity, it is to the first family, he said, fruitful, multiply, fill your portion, steward the other portion of others, your own children. And if you are a work senior in your workplace, as a senior, help others to come up in life and teach them properly your profession and your skill. So they are benefactors. Why are benefactors there? So that those who benefit from you, patients, from doctors, clients, from lawyers, they are beneficiaries. Of course, you must have a living wage adequate, but it cannot be by fleecing the flock. So it is said that there would arise a kind of shepherds who will just feed on the next generation. The flock is the next generation. Their whole idea is that they feed and not that the flock does well. Now, if this comes home and parents don't think anymore about how children will do but put them on the digital screen all the time, what a tragedy that would be. And as you know, this is my research area for the last nearly 7-8 years. Yes, I'm published on it a lot. In Sri Lanka, you can get all these books from Sarasavi Bookshop or Vijayappa Bookshop. There is Screen Smart. It's available in all 3 languages. There is Children's, Our Heritage. There is Children Come to Me, Right Learning, Mom, Dad, Me and Mistake Management. Here's Right Learning and Recovery. This one is a little thicker, Parenting Heart and Brain in a Digital Age. I have thicker books really. This is for parents to read together. All these books are parents to read together, especially when they are shut down and no school. Please get some of these books and read. They are available from our own bookshop at 374 Leslie Ranagala Mawatha, Colombo 8. So about any of these things, any inquiry, you can send it to +94 76 313 4800. That's the WhatsApp number. So let's get on few other things. When more live together rather than in marriage, which would not be the design, when 99.99% of the GDP is in the hands of 0.01% of global oligarchs in different nations who feel some wise people must sit in a high plutarchy, in a real elite rule. That's what a plutarchy is. Elite rule, idea comes from Pluto, elite rule, and they must take over all the resources of the nations, manpower, resource power, everything into their hands, and then disperse because the proletariat do not know how to manage the stuff. They have to tell every nation how to manage the stuff. They found that health, illness, wellness is a massive industry to come in, not only to nation, to come into every home, every family and every individual to be certified for health according to how they feel health should be. That's the process that's on. So when more than half the world is in malnourishment, when more than 50%, more than half the kids are sold to pedophilia, are in malnutrition, in death or with plague, what a terrible thing that would be. So these I'm giving some of the signs of the Fourth World War that Einstein sort of anticipated. What he anticipated was that the Third World War will leave a world with only sticks and stones. It will be so destroyed. I am just itemizing the things that are taking us there. When more than 80% of professionals are not benefactors but malefactors, that they earn for themselves at the cost of the populace, at the cost of the client. 8. When food manipulation harms health and causes famine. When increasingly safe food is not there, natural food is not there, many things are genetically modified, which is affecting our genome. So do a little reading on how mad cow disease, bovine spongiform encephalitis came, BSC. If you have not heard, drop me a WhatsApp to my WhatsApp number. I will send it to you. My blog is Dr.Lalith Mendis blog WordPress. It has many of these articles, so does my timeline. When global oligarchs, point number 9, when global oligarchs take over more than 50% of nations and their economies, then we know the world does not belong to people. It belongs to some very rough-minded, very cruel, brutal people who are planning to get everything into their hands. When courts work for the oppressor rather than for justice. 11. When goats overrun most nations and lambs are led to the slaughter. That's a fairly familiar figure of expression in the English language. When consumerism makes food scarce and luxuries abound. So that's where we are. So when such a time has come, how is it described? Let me read a little passage how this is described. It's quite well described. Here, let me read it to you. The description of this phenomenon. So on one side are amassing the goat rulers of the world. On the other side are, so the rulers they are called the goat kind, the kind of ruler that's coming up. Why are they called that? Because it's always headbutting their way. They give no chance to the other. They break the boundaries that were set up for the safety of the family, safety of the common man. There were boundaries that were designed by the Good Shepherd, considering the good of all. That is being violated. So this is what the final analysis. I was hungry and you gave some hunger. You gave me something. I was thirsty. I gave something to eat. I was a stranger. So many people lose their homes. You invited me. I was naked. So nakedness is a big business. Vulnerable, pedophilia, human trafficking, big time business. Some of these black businesses and black money has now already overturned the underworld or underhand currency is now 3 times more than what goes on through legal currency and legal governments. 3 times more. So there's another economy, another kingdom running already far more powerful than the governments, visible governments elected by the people. They are also running, but it's only one. It's 1/3, 2/3 is the other. Yeah, you probably, some of you know this. I was naked, you clothed me. I was sick, you visited me. So see the things that are being taken up: hunger, nakedness, homelessness, strangers, aliens, migrants, engineered, manipulated, unsafe food, sickness, becoming a big industry, isn't it? Big industry. Every nation has to dump so much money to be safe from the pandemic. And then I was in prison, you came to me. I don't know when that is coming. What law will make completely legal citizens illegal citizens? Think about it. What might be the law that takes people into custody when they have committed no crime? Do you see the shadows coming? In English you say shadows are lengthening. What can you do? The Good Shepherd said, if you have me, you will not want. So firstly, your basic needs met. Secondly, he said, I will lead you to more. So every man wants to develop more, increase. That's a human desire. You can't annihilate it. Thirdly, he said, I will appoint a place of restoration. When things go wrong, it can be made right again. So human beings right wrongs, W-R-I-T-E. But there's a Good Shepherd who will right the wrong. That means R-I-G-H-T, put it right for you. So there's a place of restoration. Fourth one, I often mention this, he will give you paths that will not go crooked. They are called paths of rightness. They won't go crooked. They are not angular, you don't get stuck. They are not rough, you don't get wounded. They are not blocked up, you don't know where to go. They are not mountainous so that you are obstructed. They are not a marsh mire, you get stuck in the mud. He makes a way. So that's a personal choice. I think I have spoken long enough about Einstein's 12 signs of the Fourth World War coming and 4 apocalyptic horses. We'll meet again. I have already given you my WhatsApp number 076 313 4800 if you want any more clips. Also my app golden nuggets available for free download. Thank you for listening.